You're watching Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Schultz here with you. Thanks for joining us. ESPN's Bill Barnwell. He's got the documents, and he is here to tell us what is in store for Geno Smith and his future in Seattle. We'll show you what Barnwell had to say and react to it coming up in just a bit. Tyler Schultz here with you. Thanks for joining us. I got a little question out there. Who are my 12s from the 206? If you're from the 206, like the video. If not, if you're from elsewhere, maybe you're from the 541, maybe you're from the 503. I don't know, wherever you may be. Maybe you're from my old neck of the woods, the 918. Google if you want to find out that answer. Like, comment, and shout out your area code if you're not from the 206. If you're from the 206, though, like the video, a little fan survey. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll get started with today's show. Bill Barnwell breaks down Geno Smith's future in Seattle, and Barnwell lays out a very interesting case of what's ahead for the Seahawks when it comes to figuring out what to do with Geno Smith and his future going forward. Let's start with this from Bill Barnwell. I think you can make a case for any argument. Maybe that's a cheaper quarterback. Maybe that means using the money elsewhere. Maybe it means extending Geno Smith. I think you could make a case for all of these different things. Barnwell goes on to say he believes all options are on the table. Now, let me preface this before we go any further here. Barnwell is not telling you yet what option he recommends, but he says that every option is possible at this point. So let's continue. More from Barnwell. I would say in terms of his accuracy, in terms of his intelligence, in terms of the way he operates on a week-to-week basis, I think Geno Smith is one of the 20 best quarterbacks in football. He's closer to the bottom than the top of that top 20 list to me, but that he's a pretty good quarterback. Barnwell went on to say, for Seattle, at this point in time, where they stand, Geno Smith is the best option for the Seattle Seahawks in 2025. And before you go crazy, let's let him explain a little further what he means by this. I think if you had a path to a quarterback in the draft, I'd be more likely to move on from Geno Smith. I'd be more likely to take a shot on a different roster-building philosophy. But as it stands, it feels like there's not really a better alternative out there. You don't have a path to a top 5 quarterback, obviously, and I don't think you have a path to a much cheaper, effective option. So I really think it's a product of what's available to you, and I think given those options, Geno Smith is pretty good. And Bill is right about that. Let's talk about the quarterback market for a moment, all right? You look at the free agent quarterbacks that are potentially out there this upcoming offseason. I don't want Russ. No thanks. Justin Fields doesn't look like that guy. Sam Darnold is going to be pretty expensive. Kirk Cousins, I think, is washed. So you don't really have any free agent options there. And then you go to the draft. You're picking 18. I, personally, only have 2 first-round grades on quarterbacks this draft. And those belong to Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Those 2 quarterbacks are not going to be available when Seattle picks at 18th overall. So with that said, whether you like it or not, when it comes to this upcoming season, Geno Smith is your best option for now. We're not saying 3, 4, 5 years from now, but at least for 2025, Seattle's stuck. Geno Smith's going to be your quarterback next year, whether you like it or not. Now, let's ask you. Weigh in our pinned comment today. Should Geno Smith return as the Seahawks starting quarterback next year? Type Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in and let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. The big game is almost here, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. PrizePicks is also giving away a free pick for the big game where one of the starting quarterbacks will only need to throw 1 yard to win. If you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you can win real cash. You heard that right. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. 2 or more players, choose more or less. Fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. I'm looking ahead to the AFC Championship game this weekend. I'm going with Xavier Worthy to have more than 3.5 rushing yards. I think Andy's going to scheme him up for at least 1 run. And I got Josh Allen to have more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. If I put $20 down and both those hit, that turns into $70 on PrizePicks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. PrizePicks, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks today. All right. So if Geno is our quarterback, then what is the path forward for Geno Smith? How are the Seahawks going to make this all work? Well, the roster bonus that Geno is due on March 16th is going to pay him about $16 million. So basically, the way you can look at this is that they have a deadline pretty much between now and March 16th to make a decision on Geno Smith's future. Because once March 16th gets here, then that $14 million kicks in. According to Barnwell, the best point of action for Seattle of how they want to handle this is that they should restructure his contract within the extension and reduce the cap hit. Here's more from Bill Barnwell. To me, I think what you do is extend Geno Smith, but maybe it's more of a restructure than an extension. Maybe it's, hey, we're going to guarantee you all the cash you're going to make next year. We're going to restructure the deal, add some void years to the end of it to reduce the cap hit right now and give us a little more flexibility up front, and maybe we have a deal that triggers next year if you play this year well. Ideally, the Seahawks could restructure the extension to reduce Smith's cap hit for this upcoming season, as Seattle's not in a great position when it comes to the salary cap. And then that would provide more flexibility if you decide to move on from him after 2025. So you get the best of both worlds. You get to bring Geno back, but you bring him back on your terms. Geno wants an extension, and you say to Geno, hey, we'll play ball with you, but this is how it's going to be. This has got to work for us. Do you agree with Bill Barnwell in his assessment on Geno Smith that they should bring Geno back, but they should do so on their terms? What do you think? Type A for agree, type D for disagree. Let us know in the comments section below. I am of the belief at this point, when it comes to Geno Smith, that Geno is year to year. Think about it this way. When it comes to Geno Smith, I don't care what the actual contract is. Every year, basically, from here on out, we should be thinking of it as Geno on a 1-year deal. We are all sitting here, and we're all in agreement that Geno should be back next year for 2025. But I don't know if he should be back for 2026 or 2027 or 2028, but I can at least say yes to next year. When next year comes, we'll figure out next year. But at least for now, he's good for 2025. Barnwell says this. That would kind of put the decision off. But you have something in place, so if you do like what Geno Smith shows you in 2025, you have the ability to keep him around. But if you don't like it, you still have the flexibility to move on, and you have a reduced cap hit in 2025. Geno's tenure in Seattle has included 2 Pro Bowls, an NFL Comeback Player of the Year award, led the league in completion percentage in 2023. His record as the Seahawks starting quarterback, 28-24, with 1 playoff appearance. That was his first full season as Seattle's starting quarterback. He's coming off a season where he threw for 21 touchdowns and 15 interceptions and a career high in completion percentage of 70.4%. That was even higher than the completion percentage he had when he led the league in that statistic just a couple of years ago. And one more thing before we go, must I remind you, for the folks out there that want to extend Geno and want him long term, let me caution you with this. He's not a spring chicken, all right? He's 34 years old. I got some people watching this show that are young enough to be the children of Geno Smith, all right? He ain't getting any younger. He's 34 years old. He's already had a few injuries here and there. So even if you're the biggest Geno fan in the world, you have to know that that play is going to go downhill at some point, that Father Time will eventually catch up to him. So with that said, I think the year-to-year approach is the perfect call of how Seattle should handle Geno Smith going forward from here. How much longer should Geno Smith be Seattle's starting quarterback? Is it just for this upcoming year? Is it for next year? Is it for the next 3 years? How much longer should Geno be the guy in Seattle? Weigh in, let us know. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.